What's up, guys? Coming to you today with Week 6 college football action on a packed Friday of NCAA football here on October 3rd. We're going to cover every single game on this slate, and I'll give you my favorite picks on each one of them. I will also give you my favorite lock of the day and my favorite underdog pick of the day, so slam that like button and subscribe to the channel to make sure you keep seeing these videos every single day, and let us know what you're thinking in the comments. I personally read and answer every comment I get. Check the pinned comment throughout the day to see our favorite picks, and you should definitely check back a couple of times throughout the day to see if there are any changes with injury news coming out and personnel changes coming in at the last minute. In terms of a recap, guys, we're recording this earlier in the day so you can take advantage of the solid line. So I don't have a recap to give you on our MLB picks there from yesterday or our Thursday night football picks, but last week on college football, week 5 college football was a bit of a bloodbath for us. Came up short there on UFC. That was a tough 34-20 loss. The running game went nuts, but their quarterback didn't get it going, and their defense couldn't stop the run at all. We had Texas A&M minus 6.5, and that was a brutal half-point loss there in their 16-10 win. The running game completely controlled the game there for the Aggies. Their defense was out of control good, allowing under 200 yards of total offense. Just bad luck that we don't end up cashing that one. We had Washington plus 8.5. Maybe that was a little bit of a reach. Ohio State was just too good in this one. Washington did move the ball, but just couldn't get it into the end zone. Ohio State obviously gets a lot of credit for that one. Penn State, minus 3.5. That was a brutal overtime loss. We see them eventually lose 30-24 at home, mostly due to their defense not being able to stop Oregon at all. So maybe that gives us a little bit of information here down the stretch about Penn State. We did cash our dog of the day. We had Mississippi State plus 7.5, and the hook was in our favor in this one. The Bulldogs eventually lose in overtime, falling 41-34. The running game was fully online there for the Bulldogs, but they could only slow down Tennessee when they could get interceptions. So other than that, the defense wasn't doing anything good. We did unfortunately get very unlucky there on our massive lock of the day on Navy at minus 14. Definitely our biggest disappointment of the day. They were in great shape to get us the win and cover after dominating the first half, but clearly took their foot off the gas and gave up 10 fourth quarter points to end up winning this game 21-13. So had a good chance in that one. Unfortunately, we don't make it. Nicely, though, the lock of the day has bounced back and it's been looking very, very good here down the stretch, as you can see on the screen right now. So we're going to go ahead and dive in, guys. We'll recap what went on last week on the premium side for college football as well, but we're going to dive in now and look at our first game of today here on Friday, and we're going to be looking at the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. They're going on the road to take on the Delaware Blue Hens. Western Kentucky comes into this game 4-1 on the season, having a pretty good time. Took down Sam Houston 41-24 in week 1, obliterated North Alabama, did lose 45-21 against a Toledo team that's looking pretty good, but took wins there in what looked to be relatively manageable games there, blowing out Nevada 31-16, and then going to Missouri State and winning that game 27-22. That was their last time out there, and the Missouri State team has been a little bit spicy this year, so a good win there for Western Kentucky. The passing game was dominant. Maverick having a great day out there, 26-39, 317 passing yards and a touchdown, no interceptions there. The running game really got going right. Had 91 yards on 10 carries and 2 touchdowns. The longest run he had during that entire game was 17 yards. So really, really dominant stuff. They're just churning out yardage there against, a Missouri State team that's new to the Conference USA and new to big-time college football. So, make of that what you will, but it was a very, very good day there offensively for Western Kentucky. On defense, I'm not going to say they were incredible. They weren't a disaster. They gave up 22 points. Did give up 1 passing touchdown, generated 0 interceptions. They gave up a decent amount to the run as well. Missouri State was able to run the ball pretty effectively against them. They didn't generate any turnovers there from Missouri State. That's definitely a concern for Western Kentucky coming into this game, I would say. But overall, not a terrible day, and they do end up eventually getting the win. So, not a bad day for them overall. Over the course of the season, we've liked some of what we've seen from Western Kentucky. I mean, they're 11th in the nation in passing yards per game. They're 45th in points for. They're 58th in points against, so not exactly a monster-level defensive team. But these, those statistics have to be taken with a little grain of salt here, this early in the season. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road to take on the Delaware Blue Hens. They're 3-1 on the season. They got out to a good start there with a 35-17 win over Delaware State in week 1. They did get blown out by Colorado in week 2, losing 31-7, but got a close win against an interesting UConn team, winning 44-41 in that one. And then last week, going into FIU and getting the dominant 38-16 win. So well played there by the Blue Hens. A big offensive day from them in that game as well. Loved what we saw there. The passing game was fully online, 3 passing touchdowns, 1 interception, so something to work on there. The running game, though, was working as well. They ended up with 140 yards on the ground and 1 rushing touchdown. Silver had a very good day. Ellison Jr. also very, very good. So this is a team, definitely a couple very, very usable running backs back there that are going to be expected to put up points on a daily basis now, or a weekly basis. They only had that 1 turnover, so not a bad look there offensively. And on defense, it was a great day for Delaware. They had 2 interceptions. They gave up only 203 passing yards. They didn't stop the run. They did give up a couple long runs, a 39-yard run and a 53-yard run, so something to work on now. And not a top-tier defense here from Delaware, I don't think. They generated those 2 turnovers, so it was a pretty good day overall. So I don't have a lot of bad stuff to say, but is this going to be like a top-tier team? We'll have to wait and see. You know, we're a little bit early on here. Over the course of the year, they're 31st in passing yards. They are 68th in points scored per game. Their defense, though, is pretty bad, 86th in points against. So definitely plenty of room there for improvement for the Delaware Blue Hens. So looking at the numbers for this matchup, we see the Blue Hens, they're -2. We've got a total of 61.5 in this game. Western Kentucky is 4-1 against the spread so far this year. They're 3-2 to the over. Delaware's 2-1-1 against the spread and 2-1-1 to the under. My main lean on this game, guys, is going to be on the total here. I actually think the over is looking very, very good. I know it's a big number. 61.5 is a lot of points, but Western Kentucky's offense ranks significantly better than their defense. If the Hilltoppers have anything to say about dictating the pace of play, then this should be a higher scoring game for sure. Western Kentucky has scored 27 plus points in 4 out of their 5 games this season, and even their lowest scoring number came in at 21 on the road against a very respectable Toledo defense. Delaware has put up 35 plus points in each of their 3 wins, with their only bad offensive showing coming in a tough road contest there against Colorado. We wouldn't be surprised to see both of these teams pushing 30 or more points in this game, with neither defense really impressing me at all. So I definitely think over 61.5 is a very solid lean on this game. Hey guys, hopping here to the quick shout out to the sponsor of today and every day's video, and that is StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description, go over there and see the top confidence picks from our entire team of experienced cappers. Right now, our premium members are getting daily MLB, UFC, NFL, college football, and very, very soon they will also be getting daily NHL hockey and daily NBA picks every single day, guys. It's a great value. Tons of research is going into those plays every single day. So you definitely want to get over there to StumpTheSpread.com and check out all of the premium stuff, but you also want to get over there and check out the free stuff. There's no need for you to be going over there to spend money immediately. Just check out the free stuff. You want to, just sample what we've got going on over there. There's exclusive free picks that are posted over there every single solitary day. There's also our free to use bet size calculator. You definitely want to check that out. And that's also where you go to get on our free email newsletter, guys. It's a great resource. Every single day you'll be getting 1 email straight to your inbox or straight to your spam folder. So check on that if you're having trouble getting the emails, but it'll have at least 1 free pick in it, oftentimes 2 or 3 free picks included in there. Information on niche sports betting like golf, NASCAR, WNBA, all kinds of good stuff like that, but also parlays are included in those emails as well. So it's a great resource. Definitely want to get on that email list. It's if you're a serious sports bettor, guys, you want to be checking that out every single day. It's big write-ups on all kinds of stuff, from the major sports to niche stuff like tennis or NASCAR. So definitely get in on that, but also you got to get over to StumpTheSpread.com and check out the premium stuff, guys. Now, last week on the premium side, we did hit a little bit of a bump in the road there on college football, ending up only going 3 wins and 4 losses, but we did cash our biggest unit play there of the week with Illinois +7. That was a big 3-unit play. That one came through very, very comfortably. Oregon State +3.5, 13.5. I believe that was a Friday night game, if I'm not mistaken, and they come through on that one. Ole Miss came through for us as well. So there were definitely some nice wins mixed in there, and some very, very bad luck mixed in with some of those losses. Like Pittsburgh completely collapsed last week. It was really, really weird. There was some weird ones in there. But overall, I'm expecting a nice bounce back here in week 6. The amount of work that goes into these premium picks on, especially the college sports, where we have to keep track of hundreds and hundreds of players, it's absolutely wild stuff. So definitely get over there, sign up for a premium membership if you are interested, but definitely get on that free email list. And also, guys, if you're a huge fan of what you're seeing from us here every single day, click that little join button right below the video to sign up for a YouTube channel membership. YouTube channel members get early access to all of our videos, get their name up on screen in every single video, but maybe more importantly, they get access to our members only giveaways. We give away a Stump the Spread hoodie here every single week. Our next giveaway is going to be on the 6th, so coming up pretty quick here, we'll be giving away another Stump the Spread hoodie. We put the name of every YouTube channel member on a big wheel, we spin it live on the video, and we see who's going to get that Stump the Spread hoodie mailed straight to their address. So definitely get in on that if you're interested, guys. And we're going to go ahead and dive back in now. We've got 4 more games to cover here on a pretty interesting little Friday slate of NCAA football. And next up, we're going to be looking at the Charlotte 49ers as they go on the road here to take on the USF Bulls. Charlotte hasn't had a great year so far. They're only 1-3 overall. Lost to Appalachian State in week 1. Lost 20-3 against a North Carolina team that's making Bill Belichick look pretty bad right now. They did beat Monmouth, but then lost last week against Rice 28-17. So Charlotte, not a team that's really having a great time this year. Obviously, not great quarterback play. I know that's going to be a huge shock to see a team that's playing poorly have bad quarterback play, but it wasn't even that bad against Rice, to be honest. I mean, 1 passing touchdown, 259 yards, running a couple different quarterbacks out there is not something I'm usually a big fan of. We'll see how it goes this week. In terms of the running attack, Rod Gainey Jr. leading the way there, but 8 carries, 51 yards. That's not going to be enough to carry them to wins necessarily, unless he gets an awful lot more touches this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This does seem like a team that could theoretically be capable of running the ball, but I'm not going to be holding my breath for them to be able to really move the ball, especially in this matchup. But we'll see. Defensively, this season, they haven't been great, and they weren't great last week. Rice isn't exactly a powerhouse. They gave up 28 points in that game, gave up a passing touchdown, couldn't stop the pass, and really didn't have any answers there against the running game, giving up 255 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. They also generated a grand total of 0 turnovers in that game, so really, really not a good look there from Charlotte defensively. It's been a pretty brutal season for the 49ers, and I don't really know if I see it getting any better anytime soon. They're 131st in the nation in rushing yards per game. They're 122nd in points per game, and they're 110th in points allowed against them. So it's getting really, really bad there in Charlotte. Maybe they'll figure something out here, but it seems like a tough spot here if they're going to try and figure something out against South Florida. The Bulls have been having a pretty good time. They are 3-1 on the season. They blew out Boise State in week 1, 34-7. They took down Florida, number 13, Florida, 18-16 in week 2. They went up against number 5, Miami, and that one did not go their way. But last week against SC State, South Carolina State not going to be able to stand up against the South Florida Bulls. They won that game 63-14. So pretty much a bloodbath there. Loved what we saw from South Florida pretty much across the board. Byron Brown did get picked off once, but also had 4 passing touchdowns and 236 yards through the air. The running game was dominant. That's going to be a huge, huge point of emphasis for them here going up against a Charlotte team that can't stop the run. They piled up 252 yards on 28 carries and 3 rushing touchdowns in that game. Dominant stuff. We saw Chaz Nimrod, a massive day catching the ball, 119 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. We saw the Bulls completely take care of the ball except for that 1 interception, so they're not going to be turning it over. This team has been on one this season, especially in these matchups. Like, they're finally getting to take on some teams that are worse than them, and they are more than happy to run up the score because they know they need blowout wins in these games as, they're trying to audition for a spot in, whatever bowl game they can get, or maybe the college football playoff. We'll see what happens. Now, on the defensive side, they were completely dominant, giving up only 14 points last week, shut down the passing game, had 1 interception there, and gave up no touchdowns, completely stopped the run. They allowed less than 2 yards per carry. It was brutal, guys. They didn't generate any turnovers via the fumble, but 63-14, that is a dominant defensive performance. So we'll see what they can do in this one. Over the course of the year, they're 38th in college football in passing yards. They're in the top 100 in rushing yards. They're tied for 55th in the nation in points against, and we're talking about a team that did give up 49 points in that blowout against Miami. So you take that game out, and all of a sudden they're looking absolutely insane. So looking at the numbers for this one, guys, the Bulls are 27.5-point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 54.5 in this game. Charlotte's 1-3 against the spread. They're 2-2 to the over-under. USF, they are 3-1 against the spread and 2-2 to the over-under. Guys, I'll definitely take South Florida here, minus 27.5. You can still find some minus 27.5s out there, but I'm not even too worried. If it gets over 2 touchdowns or over 4 touchdowns, I'm not even that concerned. I'm looking for South Florida to completely outpace Charlotte by at least a touchdown per quarter, maybe more than that. They've been one of the best group of 5 teams in the country. They've dominated at home in that blowout loss against that blowout win over Boise State and that blowout win over South Carolina State. Charlotte has not looked good against a very manageable schedule. They've been terrible this year, 98th in the nation offensive output, 116th in total defense. They can't stop the run. I think Byron Brown is going to carve up Charlotte both through the air and on the ground. This is going to be a bloodbath in favor of the Bulls. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the New Mexico Lobos going on the road to take on the San Jose State Spartans. Now, New Mexico, they come into this game 3-1 on the year. They did lose their season opener against Michigan, but that was a pretty competitive 34-17 loss. I know it was a loss, but, you're against a very, very good team, and New Mexico hasn't had, a ton of crazy, things to be excited about. They did knock off Idaho State the week after that. knocked off UCLA 35-10, a very dominant win in that one. And then last week, taking on in-state rival New Mexico State, they got the 38-20 win. So very good stuff there from the Lobos. A program that's trying to build itself into respectability on the football side, and they did some good stuff last week. I mean, Jack Lane, 4 touchdown passes, 303 yards through the air, and no interceptions. Completed 23 of 30 passes. Very, very good stuff there. The running game wasn't the focus for them, but they still ended up with 133 yards on the ground. So very, very good stuff across the board for the Lobos offensively. We had a couple wide receivers. Keegan Johnson putting up 135 receiving yards and a touchdown. They did fumble the ball away twice, something they definitely have to be cognizant of in this game. That's a big, big problem, and you can't be putting the ball on the turf like that. That is really a recipe for disaster. But other than that, they played well. Defensively, they were very good. Had an interception, limited, but did not stop the pass. Really, completely shut down the running attack, though. That was pretty dominant stuff. I know there's a negative 39-yard run mixed in there, but that's not what we're talking about. Other than that, they were still very, very good there against the run. Did a good job of slowing down the pass. Didn't generate a ton of turnovers, just that one, but it was a very good day out there for the Lobos defensively, and I think they have to be very, very happy with what they did. I mean, over the course of the year, they're 55th in the nation in points against. They're also 29th in points for. They're putting up an average of 38 points per game. So very, very good stuff there. They're a great running team, a great passing team. Like, they can really, really move the ball and put up some offense. So we'll see what they can do here on the road against a Mountain West rival there in the San Jose State Spartans. The Spartans at 1-3 on the year, not exactly having a great time. Had a bad game one there against Central Michigan, losing 16-14. Got blown out by Texas 38-7, so I don't think we need to be too shocked by that. Then a 31-28 win against Idaho and a 30-29 loss against Stanford last week. Seems like the Spartans are starting to figure some stuff out. Now, in that loss at Stanford, they did some very positive things. 3 passing touchdowns, 473 yards through the air. Like, that is a very, very nice day throwing the ball. The running game wasn't exactly the focus, but they did manage to do some work there on the ground. Obviously, massive, massive days. They had 3 wide receivers in triple digits. Very impressive stuff there. They did turn the ball over once, but only 1 turnover in a game that's, kind of a step-up game there for the Spartans. I'm pretty impressed with what they were able to do in that game. Now, on defense, kind of another story. They gave up 444 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Yikes. They also gave up a good amount to the run, gave up 48 yards there to Cole Tab on the ground. So not an amazing day. They did generate 1 turnover, so there's something to feel good about there, but really not a game where they were great defensively, and giving up 30 points probably wasn't exactly what they were looking to do. So looking at their season-long numbers, they've been a very good offensive team, tons of passing yards. The rushing yards not that impressive, but they're in the top 100, putting up 24.8 points per game. The defense, though, is pretty atrocious. That's a big, big problem here for San Jose State. So we'll see what they can do here at home. Looking at the numbers, they're actually 2.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 58.5 in this game. New Mexico, they're 3-1 against the spread, 2-2 to the over-under. San Jose State, they're 2-2 against the spread, and 2-2 to the over-under. Once again, guys, this is a game where I think there's much more value on the total than there is on the side, and I'm going to lean towards over 58.5 in this game for sure. New Mexico's offense has been looking good as of late. 35 points at UCLA, 38 points their last outing at home there against New Mexico State. New Mexico's offense is in much better shape than we were expecting coming into the year. After losing, Dampier to Utah in the offseason, they've regrouped and they're looking fine. The Lobos have reloaded nicely, look to be a real threat there in the Mountain West. San Jose State has the 115th ranked defense in the nation in yardage allowed, which is great news for the Lobos. What will also help the over is the fact that San Jose State is bringing a very pass-heavy offense, which is going to lead to more clock stoppages and more total points. So I definitely think the over is a very, very solid play today. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at the West Virginia Mountaineers. They're going on the road in this one to take on the number 23 BYU Cougars. West Virginia is 2-3 on the year. They got off to a good start there, destroying Robert Morris, but then a bad loss there at Ohio. They followed that up with a nice win against the Pittsburgh Panthers, but their last 2 games have not looked the best. They got blown out 41-10 against Kansas. They lost 48-14 against Utah last week. So now they got to go on the road, and it's not exactly going to be an easy game for them going up against BYU. We did see some things to be encouraged about here for West Virginia. Now the passing attack isn't looking amazing, but it's the running game that I'm really starting to think gives this team a chance to stay in some games, even against some better opponents, because they can run the ball, run down the clock, and it's going to give them a chance to stay attached. And then they've got a chance. If you can keep it within, 1 or 2 touchdowns by the end of the game, you have a chance to steal some wins. And they're a team that can definitely move it on the ground. We love what we saw from Hubbard last week, 61 yards on 10 carries for him. Jared Bowie snapped off a 68-yard run. There definitely some talent there in the ground game for this team. And they also do a pretty good job of taking care of the ball. Not a big turnover squad whatsoever. No turnovers against Utah last week. So very, very good stuff there. Now, defensively last week, there were some problems. They did generate a couple or just one turnover, but they gave up 5 passing touchdowns. Definitely work to be done there in the secondary. They slowed down, but did not really stop the run at all. Like Utah was handing it off to everybody, or the quarterbacks were taking off, and it was just really not a good time there for the Mountaineers on defense, really. So they've got work to do on the defensive side, no doubt about it. But over the course of the year, they've had some good games defensively. They are also, like I was saying, an amazing team running the ball. They're 23rd in rushing yards per game in the nation. They are 91st in points against, 108th in passing yards. So yeah, this is a ground game for them, and that's what they're going to be trying to do here as they go on the road against a BYU team that's 4-0 to start the year. They haven't really been tested too much. A blowout walkover win against Portland State in week 1, taking down Stanford 27-3 in week 2. A nice road win against a spunky East Carolina team that they eventually beat 34-13. But last week, at Colorado, things got real spooky there for BYU. They do come away with a 24-21 win, so they'll take it, but it was not easy. It was certainly not easy. We didn't hate what we saw in terms of quarterback play, but 2 passing touchdowns, 19 of 27, and 179 yards. Definitely not a domination. The running game, though, that's where they were really focused. Obviously, they've got a running quarterback, so you're going to see lots of that, but 208 yards on 36 carries and 1 rushing touchdown. Okay. That was very good. But will they be able to do that here against West Virginia? We'll have to wait and see. That's not the kind of offense that leads to massive blowouts, I'll tell you that. In terms of their defense, giving up 21 points there to Colorado, it's mostly concerning because they struggled against the running attack, and that's what they're going to be going up against here against West Virginia. The passing, they did okay against the passing attack. They did have 1 interception, but gave up a passing touchdown. It's those 0 fumbles created and their inability to stop the run that really concerns me in this exact matchup. Now, over the course of the season, BYU has definitely done some positive things, and their numbers are going to look good, but when you haven't played anybody, it's pretty easy to be, 9th in rushing yards, 4th in points against. Like, all those numbers look great, but I mean, the toughest team you played was Colorado, and you almost lost. So I'm not as high on the BYU Cougars as maybe the pollsters are, or some of the odds makers are. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, BYU 18.5 point favorites at home, a total of 46.5 in this game. West Virginia is 2-3 against the spread this year. They're 4-1 to the under. BYU is 3-1 against the spread and 3-1 to the under themselves. Right off the bat here, guys, I do think under is in play in this game. I don't think we're going to see a crazy amount of offense in this one. Both teams want to and will run the ball, whether or not they're finding success with it. So the clock's going to be moving. I don't think we're going to see a crazy amount of offense in this game. In terms of a side, I'm taking West Virginia here, getting 18.5 points. I think they're better now than what their last 2 weeks would have shown us. This is definitely this is going to be a lower tier team in the Big 12, that's for sure. But if they can clean up the mistakes and do a better job in short yardage situations, they can put themselves in better positions to stay competitive in these games. West Virginia actually ranks somewhat similar to BYU in terms of offensive output, but the Cougars bring in the edge there on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not super high on BYU's offense in general. I think they're going to need to rely pretty heavily on their defense to cover a spread of this magnitude. And worst case, we see West Virginia at least having a chance at a backdoor cover late if they find themselves losing. So I definitely see the better value here taking West Virginia with the considerable amount of points. Like, we're getting not 3 touchdowns, but 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Like, that feels like very good value there on a West Virginia team who's in desperate need of a bounce back against a BYU team that has not shown us too much this season. Last but not least here, guys, we're going to be looking at the Colorado State Rams going on the road to take on the San Diego State Aztecs. Colorado State only 1-3 so far this season, not having a very good time. Lost in week 1, 38-21 at Washington. Beat Northern Colorado 21-17 for their only win of the season. Lost a heartbreaker 17-16 there against UTSA. And then last week, going up against Washington State, things did not go amazing, losing that game 20-3. All that being said, like, Colorado State has some interesting pieces. I didn't hate the quarterback play they got last week, honestly. I mean, 19 of 28, 188 yards is not amazing, but it's not the end of the world. They were able to move the ball on the ground. Jalen Dupree, 13 carries for 68 yards. That looks good. Maybe they need to be, devoting more time here to the running attack because I do feel like this team can move the ball a bit on the ground, depending on their opponent, obviously, but I do think they're going to be able to move the ball on the ground a bit. They've got some interesting wide receivers out there. Nobody looking super dominant, but some interesting ones. They did a good job of taking care of the ball, except for that one turnover last week. So definitely some, I mean, it's hard to find a ton of positives when you lose 20-3, but there were some definite bright spots there for Colorado State last week. In terms of their defense, it wasn't amazing. I mean, giving up only 20 points is not bad in a college football game. They made the running game tough, not undoable, but tough there for Washington State. Slowed down the passing attack a little bit, giving up under 200 passing yards. Didn't let any one wide receiver really mess them up too bad. They didn't generate any turnovers, which is a bit of a problem, but overall, if you're going to generate 0 turnovers and only give up 20 points, you would think that you could probably have your offense in a position to, at least score a touchdown or put you in a position to like make this game pretty competitive. So we'll see what they can do this week, going up against San Diego State. Now, in terms of their season long numbers, there's not a ton that look great. They're a pretty decent defensive team. They're 102nd in the nation in passing yards, 73rd in rushing yards. So definitely, like I was saying, a team that can move the ball a little bit on the ground. We'll see if they're able to move it on the ground here against San Diego State. The Aztecs come into this game 3-1 on the season, a blowout win over Stony Brook in week 1. They did lose at Washington State in week 2. They're 36-13. So there's a common opponent and didn't go well for either team. They beat Cal though 34-0. That was a crazy blowout. And then last week, an embarrassing game. We do see the Aztecs eventually get the win, but they won 6-3. Crazy. A game where the only scoring we see is 3 total field goals. Pretty bonkers stuff. Obviously not a lot of great news there. The quarterback play for San Diego State has not been amazing this season. It was terrible last week. 110 yards through the air and 2 interceptions. That's it. That's pretty brutal. They did manage to move the ball on the ground a little bit, but it took them 44 carries to get those 151 yards there on the ground. So yeah, not a good day there offensively for the Aztecs. That was pretty brutal. I can't imagine people, there are human beings, guys, that went to that football game and watched the whole thing. Unbelievable. And it ended 6-3. That's crazy. And especially in college football, even crazier. So we'll see what they're able to do in this one. Now, the defense was great. Obviously giving up only 3 points last week. Gave up a grand total of 57 passing yards and came up with an interception. They really slowed down the running attack there of Northern Illinois. Not like Northern Illinois is an amazing team or anything like that, but they did a really good job in that situation. The defense should get way more credit for that win than the offense there for San Diego State. So we'll see if they can run it back, see if they can hold down the run and the pass like they did last week. Over the course of the season, the Aztecs defense has been very, very good. 6th in the nation in points against, but they played Stony Brook, guys. They played Cal. Like, this is a good defensive team, but the offense is just pretty insane. So we'll see what they're able to do. This isn't a great offense either. So looking at the numbers here, guys, the Aztecs are 6-point favorites. We've got a total of 40.5 in this game. A total of 40.5 in a college game. That's wild work. Colorado State, they're 2-2 against the spread. They're 3-1 to the under. San Diego State, 3-1 against the spread and 3-1 to the under. I'm kind of willing to take under 40.5 in this game. That feels wild for a college football game, but I'm willing to do it, especially here on a very short slate. We've got nothing else going on in the sporting world, and we just have these college games to look at. I'm searching for bets here, and that's a bet that I don't think is unreasonable. In terms of the side, though, I'll definitely take Colorado State here getting 6 points. This has a lower scoring game written all over it that should give the points more value in this matchup. I expect a bit more out of Colorado State this season with a veteran returning quarterback, which is becoming a luxury these days in college football. You don't always have that. The Rams have gone against a fairly challenging schedule, and we're interested to see how this group looks in Mountain West action. Looking at the results, Colorado State was respectable, keeping things close until the end during their loss at Washington, and the Rams nearly upset a pretty decent UTSA squad a couple of weeks ago. San Diego State is all about slowing the pace of play, which can make it more challenging covering a moderately sized spread. San Diego State beat Northern Illinois 6-3 like we were talking about in their last outing. I'm expecting another very low scoring result in this one. And guys, if we're going to have a super low scoring game, if we like the under, we're definitely very, very likely to like the points. And this is definitely a situation where I think Colorado State and the points are the way we want to go. Unfortunately, guys, that's all the games we have here for today. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. I'm more than happy to get back to you. Anything you want to ask me about, I'll have plenty of time to answer questions on this video because we just don't have that much cooking out there in the sporting world on a, not very busy Friday. No MLB action, so we just have to wait around for those Saturday and Sunday games to get going. I appreciate everyone watching these videos. Make sure you click on the link down in the description. Get over there to stumpthespread.com. Get on that free email list. It's a great resource. every single day. Tons of information on all kinds of sports betting stuff, not just the stuff that you see here in the videos. It's a fantastic asset. And also, get over there to sumspread.com and check out all of the premium stuff we offer over there. A ton of work goes into those plays every single day. And there's a couple of premium college football plays for Friday over there that we did not cover in these videos, that I didn't even mention one little bit. So still keeping that a secret for our premium members. Guys, we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. We'll be breaking down a ton of big time college football games. We'll give you the best leans that we have on those. So definitely see you back here on Saturday for more sports betting action.